I'm your tutor and will be continuing the discussion that we had in the previous classes, right? This time as well, we're going to continue with logical reasoning, right? But in this session, we're going to focus solely on these three topics, right? That is to say, series and sequencing, syllogism, and rankings, right? And this will be the last class for logical reasoning. So if you have any doubts in any of these questions, feel free to ask them in this session. All right. So without any further ado, let's jump straight into the content of today's session. We'll start with syllogism, right? So syllogism is basically like making an inference, right? That is to mean you are given a certain parameters, right? You're given a certain parameters, and from those two, you have to conclude a certain statement, right? So our job in these sort of questions is to conclude, right? We'll be given various statements which all imply certain things, right? For example, take a look at this particular example, right? All dogs are animals. All animals have 4 legs. Therefore, all dogs have 4 legs, right? So this is a clear implication. This last part is the conclusion that we are making. These two are the hints or the statements that we used to conclude or to reach at this particular conclusion, right? So our job in syllogism is to find conclusions, right? So with that brief introduction, let us move straight up into some practice problems, all right? So you guys can feel free to try these problems on your own and text the answers in the chat box, right? But if that's not possible, or if you guys are stuck anywhere, I will be walking you guys through this entire process, so no worries there. First question, we are given 2 statements, right? Some bats are balls, some bats are balls. No ball is a wicket, right? So with these two, we have to see which conclusion best fits, right? So the first conclusion is some wickets are not bat. All wickets being bat is a possibility. So we are given 2 particular statements, right? And from this, we have to choose the appropriate options, right? So people are asking, people are sending in some answers to me in the chat box. Someone saying B, others are saying that it's E, right? I'll be waiting for a few seconds for more people to engage. Then we'll be revealing the answer and the logic behind it. All right, so the correct answer in this case is option number B, right? Now, why is this the case? So let's take a look at this from a Venn diagram perspective, right? So let's make 2 Venn diagrams, 2 sets per se, right? First, we've got the set of bats, right? And from the first inference, what we can imply is that some bats are balls, right? So if we make another set of balls, they have to sort of overlap, right? Because some bats are balls, right? That's what this middle section implies. Now, what is also given is that no ball is a wicket. So wicket, the set of wicket, and this particular circle do not overlap, right? So from this, what we can imply directly without even making a diagram is that all wickets being a bat is a possibility, right? There are three particular cases that arise at this point, right? One is that some wickets are bats, right? Some wickets, not all, only some. This is wickets, right? Some wickets are bats. Other one is that all wickets are not bats, right? Well, this is W and this is the bat one. This is ball one, right? And the third one that can be implied, right, is this, and here. This is W and this is B, right? So from this, what we can imply is that all wickets being bad is a possibility, right? It's not a certainty because any of these three incidents can take place, right? But all wickets being bad is certainly a possibility in this case. Am I clear to everyone? All right, awesome. So that's the logic behind this particular problem. Now let us move on to the second question. We are given two statements. All tables are chairs. No chair is a couch. We are given two conclusions as well. At least some couches are chairs. No table is a couch. Yes, so in this problem, what I want you guys to do is make a Venn diagram, just like the ones I made in the previous question, and then try solving it that way, because visualizing these problems in a diagrammatic way really helps you sort of have clarity in your thoughts when dealing with these types of problems, right? So as most of you guessed, or as most of you answered in the chat, the correct answer is in fact option number B. Take a look at this, right? So what we're given is all tables are chairs. So we've got a set of tables, which I'll be representing by T. And we've got a set of chairs, right? This is C, outer one. What is given is that all tables are chairs, right? And we are also given that no chair is a couch, right? So what that implies is that couch and chair do not overlap. They are sort of disjoint. This is couch, right? And from this, what we can see is that table and couch are also disjoint because table resides within chairs, right? Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah, so due to that reasoning, due to that line of thought, what we can easily imply is that no table is a couch, right? Because since chair and couch do not overlap, it must be that table and couch also do not overlap, right? So conclusion 2 is the best one, right? Now from this, at least some couches are chairs, conclusion number 1. This directly contradicts this second statement, right? Which clearly states that no chair is a couch. And when the conclusion that we're drawing happens to be at least some couches are chairs, that is a blunder contradiction. So this is not the conclusion that we want, right? This is the wrong conclusion. So option number B is the right one in this case. Am I clear to everyone? All right, awesome. So we'll be moving on to the other problem. All right, so someone just asked me to explain again. I'll be doing the same. All right, take a look at this, right? We are given the first statement all tables are chairs, right? So take a look at this Venn diagram, right? We first drew a set of tables, which is this particular circle, right? Next up, we drew the set of chairs, which is this outer bigger circle, which encapsulates all of the set containing the tables, right? Because that's what the statement, first statement implies. This is chair, right? And the second statement clearly says that no chair is a couch, right? So chair and couch must be disjoint sets, right? So due to that, since T is completely within the set of chairs, and since couch does not overlap with chair, it must also follow that table does not overlap with couch, right? So I guess that makes sense, right? So if that does not, you can take a screenshot of this particular question and then ponder on it for a while in your leisure time as well. Because I think it makes a good sense this way. Since table is completely within chairs, and since chair and couch do not share any overlap, it must be that T and C do not overlap as well, right? All right, so we'll be moving on to the next question without any further ado. This one. All right, so I'm getting quite a few answers. Most of you are guessing D, right? And the correct answer is, in fact, option number D, right? I'll be explaining why as well. What's given is some boys are girls, right? So we'll be making Venn diagrams immediately. This is boys, right? And this is a set of girls, right? They share an overlap, right? Because it mentions that some boys are girls, right? It also mentions the second statement that some girls are women. So we've got another set of women. And what also follows is all women are men, right? So women is encapsulated within the set of men, right? From this particular statement, the last statement, right? So what we can imply from this is, let's take a look at conclusion number one, right? Some men are girls. Now take a look at this. Since all women are encapsulated within men, and from this Venn diagram, I think it's pretty intuitive, pretty obvious that some men are girls, right? Because take a look at this shaded region, right? This is the region that's common between girls and men. So due to that, some men are girls is the correct conclusion, right? But is it the only one? We have to take a look at that as well, right? Option number 2 states that all boys being men is a possibility, right? So take a look at this. This set of men, this outer set of men is dynamic, right? What do I mean by this? Take a look at this case, right? This is set of boys. I'll be writing the initials only. This is a set of girls. This is the set of women. And this is the set of men, right? This is another case I just drew, right? Now let's check if this particular case satisfies all the conditions that we are given in this particular statement, right? Some boys are girls, some boys are girls. That's properly implied. We have clearly shown that because they share an overlap. Some girls are women. That's also satisfied since they share an overlapping region as well. All women are men. That is also satisfied since the set of women is completely within the set of men, right? So since all three statements are satisfied, we can also see that this figure is correct as well. So both of these are correct, right? right? These are just two separate illustrations of the same figure. This can be a possibility as well, right? So all boys being men is definitely a possibility, since this set of men can encapsulate all boys or some boys or no boys at all. So it definitely is a possibility. Did I make sense to everyone? All right, great. So one key thing to note in these types of problems is the word possibility, right? When the conclusion has got the key term possibility, you guys will have to look at different possibilities, that is, different cases that can be inferred from those statements that are provided in the question, right? For instance, I took a look at two particular cases in this particular question. I could have made a third one as well, B, G, W, and all within M, right? M, W, G, and B, right? This too would have been a fair conclusion to draw, or a fair illustration of these statements, right? So these three cases, just by looking at these, we can imply that all boys being men is a possibility, right? So from these, we have to, when possibility is introduced in the conclusion, we have to take a look at the same statements from various perspectives, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Now with that, let's move to question number 4. All right. So the question, the statements that we are provided is 1, all lions are tigers. So we'll quickly be drawing the sets, Venn diagrams, right? Yep, most of you are guessing the answers correct, but the answers are quite mixed in the chat, right? So I'll be revealing the correct answer soon. All lions are tigers. So this is a set of lions, L, and this is a set of tigers, T, right? All dogs are cats. The second statement is no tiger is dog, right? So D lies outside of T, and all dogs are cats, right? So there exists a certain set C that encapsulates D completely, right? So from these, what we can see is, just by judging from this particular figure, right? Now note one particular thing, right? These questions are concrete conclusions, right? So the word possibility is not included in any of these, right? And also note that the figure that I just drew satisfies all of these three statements, right? And from this figure, neither of these conclusions follow, right? So does that give me enough evidence to say that option number A is the correct answer? Can someone answer this question in the chat box? All right, so someone just said that this does not give me enough evidence to conclude that option number A is the correct answer, right? But that's not the case. In fact, it does give me enough evidence to conclude that option number A is not the correct answer. It is the correct answer, sorry, right? Why? Because this particular figure satisfies all of the three conditions that are provided in this particular question, right? And since the term possibility is not included in any of these conclusions, just judging by this particular illustration, what I can clearly see is that neither I nor double I follows, right? So option number A is the correct answer in this case. Because C, this set, may not encapsulate all of these, right? May not encapsulate tigers and lions as a whole, right? And option number C may not also overlap with the set of tigers, because judging by just these, right, this particular case is a pure contradiction to these two conclusions, right? So following from this, option number A is the correct answer in this case. Is it clear? All right, cool. With that said, we'll be moving on to the next question, right? I'll be waiting for a few seconds to see some engagement in the chat, and then I'll be solving this problem. I'm receiving a few engagements in the chat, but the answers are quite mixed. It does not really give me a concrete answer, right? Yep, so first I'll be revealing the correct answer. The correct answer in this case is option number D, right? So let's take a look at why this is the case, right? So we'll be drawing Venn diagrams. Some cats are animals, right? So we've got a set of cats, which I'll be representing by C, and we've got the set of animals, which I'll be representing by A, right? All plants are animals, right? All plants are animals, and all animals are plants, right? So what that means is that plants and animals, just give me a second. I'll be highlighting this in a different color so that it makes more sense. So this yellow one is the set of all plants, which I'll be representing by P, right? So take a look at this, right? Take a look at this. We are given that some cats are animals. Some cats are animals. That's clearly illustrated in this particular figure. All plants are animals. So there's a set of plants and it's encapsulated within animals. All animals are plants, which these last two statements, what they mean is that the set of plants and animals are mutually encapsulated within one another, right? Because since all plants are animals and since all animals are plants, what that means is that they are mutually encapsulated, right? So they share the same boundaries in this particular Venn diagram. So from this, conclusion number one, right? Some cats are plants. This can be implied because since all animals are plants and since some cats are animals, what we can imply from these two, first and the last one, is that some cats are plants, right? This conclusion is properly implied. Now, all plants are animals, right? This is basically second statement. So no doubts there, right? conclusion number 3, right? All animals are cats. This cannot be reasonably implied. I mean, this might be a possibility, right? This certainly is a possibility, but this is not concretely implied by the statements provided, right? So due to those reasons, option number 3 or conclusion number 3 cannot be reasonably inferred from just these statements alone, right? That makes sense. Next up, all plants are cats. Now, this too cannot be properly implied since we are not given reasonable or enough evidence to conclude that all plants are cats, right? So option number 4 also cannot be implied properly. So the only ones that can be implied from these statements are conclusion number 1 and conclusion number 2, and that is the correct answer, right? Did that make sense to everyone? All right, cool. So a few of you did not get it. I'll be explaining this once again, right? From the very beginning, because this question is really crucial, right? And I want to be as clear as possible in this problem, all right? So take a look at this. Let's quickly draw Venn diagrams first, right? Because that gives us a visual aid. Some cats are animals, so we draw another set or another Venn diagram of animals, right? And since they overlap, we can infer reasonably that some cats are animals, right? Now, what we are given is all plants are animals and all animals are plants, right? Take a look at just these two statements. From these two, what we can imply is that the boundaries that plant and animals share in this Venn diagram is the same. That is to mean, take a look at this, right? This is the Venn diagram for plants, right? Now they share the same boundaries, right? And they share the same set per se because all plants are animals and all animals are plants, right? From these two statements, right? So now with this Venn diagram done, let's take a look at the first conclusion. Some cats are plants. Now, since A and P share the same boundary, we can imply reasonably that some cats are plants because plants, the set of plants and the set of cats do overlap, right? Also, we're given all plants are animals. Now, this basically is the second statement. And since this statement is already provided in the question, conclusion number 2 can be made reasonably. So that's correct as well, right? Now, all animals are cats. This is not provided anywhere here. And even judging by this Venn diagram, we cannot reasonably imply that all animals are cats, right? Because we are only given that some cats are animals. And from this, we can't directly imply conclusion number 3. So due to this reason, all animals are cats cannot be properly implied from here. Next up, we are given all plants are cats, right? Just in just the way that we cannot imply that all animals are cats, we cannot imply that all plants are cats as well. So this too cannot be implied. So only conclusions 1 and 2 follow, and option number D thus is the correct answer. Was that clear? Was that clear? Cool. Let's move to question number 6. I'll be waiting for a few seconds to see some engagement in the chat, and then I'll be revealing the correct answer along with the logic behind it. All right, so I'm getting quite a few engagements in the chat. All right, so for those of you who said that option number D is the correct answer, that is in fact the correct answer, right? Let me explain why. Take a look at this, right? All kings are beggars. So we'll be making a Venn diagram of kings, which I'll be representing by key, right? Since all kings are beggars, there'll be a greater set of beggars, right? B, I'll be writing beg as beggars, short form for beggars. All beggars are laborers, right? So we have another bigger set of laborers, which I'll be representing by LAB, right? Laborers. This is kings, this is beggars, this is laborers. And all laborers are peoples, right? So we've got an even greater set, right? Which includes people, which I'll be writing here at the bottom, people, right? So with the Venn diagram made, we'll be taking a look at the conclusions, right? Take a look at this. Some people are kings, right? Some people are kings definitely follows, right? Because within the set of people, king lies, right? Now we are given that no laborer is a king. So this follows, right? Option number one follows. Option number two, no laborer is a king, right? This does not follow because we are clearly given, or we can even judge by this Venn diagram, that the set of kings lies within the set of laborers. So option number two, conclusion number two is clearly wrong, right? All kings are laborers, right? This follows as well, right? And we are given all laborers are king. This is not followed, right? So only two of these follow, right? That is option conclusion number one and conclusion number three, right? So let's take a look if some option mentions one and three. This mentions one and two. One follows, right? One definitely follows, but two does not. So option number A is incorrect. Option number B, one definitely follows, but option number four does not follow. So option number B is incorrect as well. And in this, option number two and option number four do not follow. So option number C is clearly wrong as well. So judging by these, the correct answer, or by the process of elimination, should definitely be option number D, right? Was I clear to everyone? All right, cool. So with that said, we'll be concluding syllogism for the time being, right? We'll be moving on to series and sequences, right? This is a really fun logical reasoning problems. It consists of very fun logical reasoning problems, right? So you'll be given a particular series such as this, and you'll basically have to find the follow-up for the numbers in these cases, right? So with that said, we'll be directly moving on to practice problems, right? So take a look at this. I'll be waiting for a few seconds to get some engagement from the chat, right? What goes in this particular blank? That's what the question is asking. Yep, I'm receiving answers from Samjana, from Sulaiman, Ambika, and everyone. The correct answer is in fact 512, right? Why is that the case? Take a look at this, right? 64 is 4 cubed, right? 125 is 5 cubed. 216 is 7. Sorry, I'm sorry. Um, it's 6 cubed, right? 343 is 7 cubed. And so the correct answer for this gap must be 8 cubed, right? Because 4, 5, 6, 7, and it should follow by 8, right? So an 8 cube is 512. So 512 is the correct answer, right? This is quite easy. Hopefully everyone got this, right? Let's move on to another one. Yep, almost every one of you guessed it correctly. The correct answer is in fact option number E. Because take a look at this, right? In these sort of problems, you guys have to learn how to find patterns hidden within these sequences. So for instance, take a look at this particular right pattern, right? 10, 12, 14, then 16, right? 10, 12, 14, 16, they all differ by 2, right? So this one, the second question mark, should definitely be 18, right? And so the only option with 18 as its second component is option number E. So simply, or we can imply that option number E is the correct one, right? Was that clear to everyone? No, all right. So even if it was not clear, you can go a step further and see this other pattern, right? 34, 31, 31, 28, and 21, and this particular question mark, right? So 34 and 31 differ by 3. 31 and 28 differ by 3 as well. So 28 and this question mark must differ by 3. So the only possible option for this is 25. So the answer must be 2518, which is option number E. I hope it was clear right now. Cool. So we'll be moving on to the other problem. Yep, I'm receiving answers from Somjana, Ram, Lu Zhang, and from everyone. And the correct answer in this case is option number B, which is 178. Why is that the case? Right? So we have to look at this series in a pairwise fashion, right? What do I mean by that? Take a look at 664 and 332. 332 is the exact half of 664, right? In the same way, 170 is the exact half of 340, right? In the same way, 189 should be the exact half of this particular number, right? What that also means is that this number should be the double of 89. And the number that is double of 89 is 178, and that is the correct answer. Was that clear to everyone? All right, cool. We are done with this one as well. Next up, we'll be moving to word sequences. Let's see if any one of you can spot the pattern hidden within these letters. All right, so I'm getting answers from Soiluja, from Lujang, Ram. Almost every one of you are guessing that the correct answer is option number A, and that is in fact the keys, right? C, D, E, F, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q. Does that make sense to everyone? All right, cool. That's the particular pattern in this case. This one. Yep, I'm receiving answers from Samjana from. All right, so the answers are quite mixed. Samjana gets it correct. The correct answer in this case is option number D, which is KLLA. Now, why is that the case, right? So in this pattern, there are two constants, right? Two letters that don't change at all. So take a look at L, A, L, A, L, A, L, E, right? They're not changing at all, right? So we can reasonably assume that the second and the fourth letter should be L and A as well. And that is in fact the case, because in all of these options, L and K lie in the second and the fourth position. So we have to find the pattern hidden within other letters to correctly infer the correct answer, right? That is E, E, E and F, sorry, E and F, G, H, E, F, G, H, I, J. So it should be K and L, right? And the second spot is obviously L, and the last is obviously A, right? So it's KLLA. Does that make sense? All right, cool. So with this done, we'll be moving on to some diagrams. All right, so take a look at this pattern, right? The correct answer in this case is in fact option number A. Why is that the case, right? So there are 3 dots in the upper row, 2 dots and 1 dot. There are 2 dots in the lower row, 1 dot in the lower row, and 0 dots here, right? And the same pattern follows in this one as well. 1, 2, 3 in the bottom, 0, 1, 2 in the top. So in the last one as well, the same pattern should follow, right? I mean, this last one resembles the first one, right? So the correct answer is option number A in this case, right? So hopefully that was clear to everyone, right? Let's move on to question number 5. Yup, most of you are guessing it correctly. The correct answer is option number C in this case. Please take a look at this, right? Square is constant in every figure, right? Square is present in this figure, this figure, this figure, this figure, this one, this one, this one, right? And circle and triangle come in pairs, right? So here is circle, here is triangle, here is triangle, circle, circle, and then triangle and triangle. So the bottom one should be circle in this case. And the upper one should obviously be a square, right? Because square is constant in every figure, right? So with that, option number C is the correct one. Was that clear to everyone? Awesome. So with that said, we'll be moving on to the other problem, right? This might be a bit challenging, but you guys can try it nonetheless. Someone's asking why the correct answer is not D in this case. That's because the position of square is also constant in all of these figures, right? In this, the square is outside the circle and it's outside the triangle as well. It's in bottom of the triangle, and in other cases as well, it's in the bottom of the circle. And so judging by the same criteria, we can also imply that the square must be at the top of the circle since it's at the top of the triangle. Hopefully that's clear. So this is the question figure, and you have to choose one from these four, all right? All right, so the answers are quite mixed here, right? I mean, this is a difficult problem. But the explanation is really simple in this case, right? The correct answer in this case is option number one, right? Now, why is that the case? Take a look at all of these figures, right? What do they have in common? In every figure, the common region is shaded, right? So it's shaded right here, right? It's shaded right here, and it's shaded right here. But among these four, the only one in which the common region is shaded is option number one. In this, there's no common region. It's in this which is supposed to be the common region is not shaded. Rather, the outside region, which is not common, is shaded. And in option number four, there's no common region as well. So option number one should be the correct one. Does that make sense? All right, cool. So with this done, we'll be moving on to the next topic and the last one for this session, which is ranking, right? So in ranking questions, you guys will have to rank things. Basically, you guys will have to order them in specific fashion as asked by the question. That's basically the brief overview of this entire thing, right? We'll be quickly moving on to the practice problems. The position of how many digits in the number this shall remain the same if the digits are arranged in ascending order. All right, I'm getting engagement in the chat, right? A few engagements in the chat. All right. So the first thing that we have to do in this case is arrange them in ascending order as it's asked by the question. So it happens to be 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 5, right? Then we've got 6, and then 7, and then 8, and then 9, right? So now we have to tally these, right? 2 is in the first position in this, so it's clearly not in the first in here, so that's not the one. 1 in this case is in the third position and the some other position, right? But both ones are at the first 2 positions, so it's not this as well. 3 is in the fourth and the fifth position in this case, but in this, it's clearly not in the fourth and the fifth. 4 is in somewhere towards the end, right? 9, and there should be another 9 as well, in my opinion. Yep. Right. So that is not the correct option as well, right? 5, on the other hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5 is one of the digits that is in the same position as it was before. 6 is not in the correct position because it is obviously before 5, right? So this is not the one. 7 is before 5 as well, so it's not the one as well. 8, right? 8 is in the 10th position here, right? But in this case, 8 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 8 is in the 11th position, so it's not the one as well. So the correct answer is option number A. This is quite a confusing problem. Right? So that was basically it, right? Next up, in a state level dance competition, a total of 75 people took part. Stuthi's position was 13th from the top, and Barkha stood 25th from the bottom. A total of how many participants stood between Stuthi and Barkha, right? So this question, yup. The correct answer in this case is 37, right? We have to take a look at them from one particular standpoint, right? That is to mean, if we are looking at the position of Stuti from the top, right, we have to take a look at Barkha's position from the top as well, not from the bottom. Since there are 75 students, the position of Barkha is going to be 50th, right? 25 minus 75 minus 20, 50th from top, right? So due to this, right, and this position of Stuti is 13. We are asked how many students lie between them. That's basically 50 minus 13, right? The students who lie between them, right? So 50 minus 13 is 37, right? And that's the correct answer. This is quite easy, right? We'll not be doing this. We'll be moving on to, yep, this one, because this is more fun. Yeah. So from the left side, it's 27, right? From the left side, it's 27. From the right side, it's 34, right? So there should obviously be 27, right? Plus 34 minus 1 people in this particular thing, right? Is that clear? Is that clear why I subtracted 1 from this entire thing? That is because 27 is the position of Saket, right? And 34 is the position of Saket as well. So if we directly add these two, we'll be counting Saket twice in this particular incidence, right? We'll be counting Saket 2 times, right? And we don't want to do that because Saket is only one person, right? So we want to count him only once. We don't want to repeat counting people. So to avoid that, we are subtracting 1. Keep this concept in mind. So option number 1 is the correct option in this particular case, right? Now this one, we won't be doing this as well because you guys can take a screenshot of this and do this in your leisure time. But this is quite easy as well. All right, so the correct answer is option number D, but you guys can try it out in your free time as well. With that said, we've come to the end of this discussion. These are useful resources in the internet which you guys can surf over in your free time, right? I found them quite useful, right? Especially this tutorial points one for the figures, sequences, and series ones, right? So try going through these. And with that said, I'll be ending my session here. Admizz can take